Welcome to this exciting episode of Racing a Classic. In this series, I bring you guys along with me while I prep and race my KDX 125, aka the Mosquito. Now, as the title says, I'll be giving my dirt bike some love. Not only do I have the engine in half over here so we can replace bearings, but I've got some exciting performance parts coming.
Talking of upgrades, this is one of the most beautiful ones. This is my brand new PWK 28 carb over here. It's a flat slide carb. It's just going to help us atomize that fuel just a little bit better. Doubt it will give us more top end, but it should give us a little bit more bottom grunt. Then the next thing I've done is I've gone ahead and pressed two brand new bottom end bearings, both high quality, not going to have any issues there. Then while I'm here, I'm going to be putting a brand new set of rings so that top end's running fresh.
And I won't be stopping there. I'm going to get a custom two-stroke pipe made for this bad boy. We all know that a two-stroke makes its power off its pipe, and I want a little bit more bottom end grunt. So while I assemble this motor, I'll tell you exactly why. So I've already got the gearbox in, I've already gone through and just felt around, made sure that it's shifting into all its gears, feels like it is. And on the other side, I've already got the crank fitted. So we're just going to go ahead and put some sealer. I'm using Yamalube, even though it's a Kawasaki, I still use this. Works like a charm. I'll put it on all the surfaces, and then we'll go ahead and put the other case half on. It is always a little bit difficult on that side, so I've got a bunch of bearings here that I'll try use as spacers when we're trying to pull this side of the crankcase half in. I can't just put heat there because the seal below it's going to get affected, and there's grease in the bearing as it sits. So it's all good. We should be able to just pull it in. So let's get busy with our sealer. So the reason I want to go with a different pipe for this is when I bought this bike, it didn't come with its original pipe. So I thought to myself, let's make a plan for the first one, which I did, and I've been riding around with a modified YZ125 pipe. But the unfortunate thing with that, and I'm sure you guys saw my last race video, I had to really keep the engine wide open. It was making its power, but making its power on the high end. So at wide open throttle. So what I'm after is a little bit more of a bottom end grunt. It is a 125, so they're not incredibly torquey to start off with. And this engine's always happy to rev anyway. So I'll be able to make a little bit more bottom end power with a nice new pipe. And while I'm there, I'll chuck the new carb on so that we're fueling it correctly as best as I can. What I found with these classics is, first of all, they're very simple motors, extremely simple. So doing something like this, where I'm doing a bit of work on it, is just extremely easy to do. Some of the more complicated, especially four strokes, but the more complicated motors, they're not as easy to just go in and sort things out. I mean, the reason that this engine got torn down to start off with was because one of these bearings had actually expanded a little, and it started spinning the outer race in the case. And we're not entirely sure what caused that. I'm going to double check my fueling while I'm busy with these engine upgrades, but it's something that you got to think about. So we've now pressed the correct bearing, one that can do the high RPM, especially on a little 125, they love to rev. And I know it's a little bit of an extra expense, but the pipe is really going to finish the bike off.
Okay. Case half together.
Okay, I think we've about reached that point in time where we can start pulling that bearing in. Now, it doesn't matter who you are, how bad your drawing is, draw the side of your engine, put some holes, and put your bolts that way. That way you know the correct length and where they're meant to be, because they might not all be the same length bolt. So there's a good example.
So here you can see my rough bad drawing and all the bolts that correspond. So now I'll just move them across and torque them down to spec. Woo! Okay. Like you've ever seen. That's just the thing of beauty. Just gotta get past that seal, so there we go. Worked like a charm. Now we can only torque up this bolt once our clutch is on, so that we can put a little coin between and torque it up. First things first, let's get busy with our shift lever setup. Gonna have to loosen that. There we go. Nice. Shift lever is in. Okay, neutral there, a couple other gears are there. Perfect. Ah. I knew it was going too tight. Hey, hey. Come on. Yeah, the Newton meter at once at it is crazy. Clutch is finally on. I just stopped filming to quickly redo everything, but I'd snapped one of these top nuts or bolts and very weirdly snapped it because I was busy torquing it. So I don't know why it went, but I've managed to find a Phillips head version, and I'm going to take this, go get another one, but we'll be able to assemble. I'll have access to this through that side clutch cover at a later stage. So for now it's all good. I have put a little bit of Loctite so it doesn't move, and we can carry on assembly. Okay, so it's just one of those things. As you start to work on a classic or vintage bike, you're going to have to start making your own gaskets. So I just did the internals of this one. My thinking is I'll butt it up and then run a blade and see if I can get a clean look after that. So looks like everything's checking out on this gasket. I managed to go around with the blade and just clean that gasket up. It didn't come out perfect. I think next time I'll rather do it with a pair of scissors, but it looks just fine. I also just went with a bit of Scotch-Brite just to try to remove a bit of the sealer that's come out. And in doing that, I think it's inspired me to just go over the whole sort of engine, unless it's been painted. So this side case, no, but all the bare aluminium cases, I think I'm going to assemble and then hit them with a Scotch-Brite pad. So let's go ahead and finish assembling this motor, and then we'll give her a little bit of a neaten up before we put her in the frame. Definitely the more I work on engines, the more I learn that Loctite is my friend, especially when you're working with
single cylinders that tend to have a lot more vibration than you would get on a bigger bike. So yeah, definitely where you can use Loctite. It's the good stuff. At least the sun's come out a little bit now. Happy about that. Gets a little dark and gloomy when we don't have any sun in sunny South Africa, if you know what I mean. As I'm sure you guys have been seeing, VMX is coming up quite a bit, and so is the sort of classic racing. I don't think I'd seen it before, and I'm super happy that there is something like this that we can play around with, because there just is something about riding an old classic bike to its absolute limit. Oh man, it's so good. These motors still shred. They're awesome to ride. Suspension's a little softer, so for me it's quite nice and comfy, especially for the bigger rides. I really enjoy the suspension on the KDX actually. It runs a better suspension setup than the 200, which is quite cool. So yeah, that's just something that I do thoroughly enjoy on the bike. Also, these engine builds tend to be pretty quick because everything's just so simple that it's not that you need crazy manuals and have to sit there trying to figure out what happened. It's just nice and simple. Oh, we're gonna need the agadaga. There it is. There we go, gaskets sorted. So from here, the top end goes together pretty damn easily. I've already gone ahead and checked these new rings clearances on the barrel, and they are looking so good. So I'm actually going back to stock piston with brand new rings and original rings, and then I've got a piston that I ordered from China that I have been running. It ran pretty damn well, but yeah, I'd rather run original. Oil ports are a little bit different, so it's been good, hasn't had any issues, but I'd rather go to original and just have something that's working 100%. Gonna try my best not to lose this little clip. This is some of my two-stroke oil. Just gonna start getting things a little bit slick around here. Alrighty, now we still need to take precaution because we don't want anything dropping down on the crank. Should be alright. There we go. Okay, now that the base gasket is in, let's go ahead and fit the cylinder. There we go. Slide that down, yeah! Unfortunately, I don't have a torque wrench that can do these small little tight spaces, but we'll just try and make sure they all snug down to about the same level. Now let's just tighten up this arm for the Kips valve. It's looking good. This was one of those cool ones. I ended up 3D printing a cover and it works like a charm. This is also right next to the exhaust. Still no problem. So my plan from here is to take the engine, give it a nice little scrub just now. We'll pop it back in the bike, make sure everything works with the stock carb, then put the new carb across, and then once that's all in and I'm happy that it's working like it should, in other words, we're not having any bogging or anything, exactly like I had it before, then I'll be dropping my bike off at the legend Jeremy Pincus. He is the guy to talk to when it comes to two-strokes. He's had years and years of experience, so that way I'll know that my engine's being taken care of with the right exhaust and the right fueling. Alrighty, just this head. Okay, we'll do a light torque spec first and then we'll go one heavier. The reeds are looking fantastic, they're still in good shape, so we're just going to pop those back. This carb boot looks like it's in worse shape than it is. What I've done is I've just put sealer on the outside just to seal it up, just to make sure we don't get any air leaks, because air leak, you run too lean and then you end up throwing a top end away because you'll burn through it, so it's not even worth taking the risk. Well, there you have it, boys and girls. A complete KDX 125 motor.
Okay, now that I have that cable out the way,
so while I go ahead and put the hoses, pipes, clamps, all that sort of stuff back on the engine, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about what sort of racing I am doing with this bike. So I think it is worth saying that we like doing this more 4x4 style racing, where it's more cross country. It's nothing too crazy that's heavy on the bike. Look, I'm sure it could do it, but you're just going to start messing your bike up. So hence why I race it in the classic, and then it's quite chilled on the bike. It's more about riding the distance and having a bit of fun with your mates. So yeah, we end up going down. We'll get there nice and early, even though our races only start at about lunchtime. We'll get there early, we'll have breakfast there. Everyone has a nice little joel, and then it's a really good time. So it's more about getting out there and having a little bit of fun on your own two wheels. Okay, I wanted to go ahead and look at both carbs side by side because there are some noticeable differences. So the first noticeable difference for me is, so the Venturis are the same size, but you'll see this one actually, I don't know if you can see that, but this curves in, and this sort of staggers its way in. So the way it deals with fuel's a little different, or rather deals with air is a little different. I want to go ahead and pop this slide out and show you guys the main difference here. Alrighty, here we go. Pull the top out. There we go. Okay, now you can see the main difference here. So the slide on the new carb is called a flat slide, which it's not, but not flat, but it's flatter on one end, whereas the slide that goes on the old carb is just old tech. So yeah, gonna be going from a older carb like this to a nice new setup like this. The new one, we've got a nice new set screw over here, got a nice choke that will stay up, stay down, and here you can see the Venturis close up. They're definitely very different. Both do a very similar job, but this should do a more efficient one. So once I know this engine's 100% with the original parts in it, we'll go and slap this carb in, and then we're taking it off with this pipe. And in the same video, we're going for a test ride. We're gonna make sure it's 100%.
Okay, so this is what the pipe's currently looking like on my KDX 125.
So here it's pretty easy to see the pipe goes down and then up. But what I want to do is a pipe that goes across and then up.
A few moments later.
Guys, it's official. The KDX 125 currently has a custom pipe on it. The only thing, we couldn't put the carb on just yet. So from now on, we're gonna start tuning this beast. We're gonna get the new carb on and start playing with jets. But before I do that, I want to put a GoPro on, show you guys how the bike's performing with the stock carb. Then we'll get back, we'll slap on the new carb, and then we can get some tuning in. So let me show you what this beast of a pipe looks like.
ride with the stock carb, guys.
So as you guys just saw, this carb is actually still working, still doing its thing, but let's go and swap over to the new one. Hey, this is gonna be good.
I've just let it idle for about 10 minutes, but then we will have excess fuel in crankcases. So first little bit I'm gonna take it easy. My wallet, I need to go back. Alrighty, here we go. Got my wallet now. So yeah guys, we want to see it 4-stroking, just to make sure that it's running 2 rich. Okay, got all the tools here, including the new jets. Let's go pop one in and go for another ride. Okay. That's better. Let's go for another footer on the block. Didn't even hit power band with that 145 main jet. So let's go and use some power. Main road over here has a speed limit that will allow me to get 4th gear moving, so the idea is to cruise down here 4th gear wide for a couple of seconds. You're going to clutch internal, pull to the side, see if that plug's got that golden brown look. Pull in here just past the awesome. much safer spot than that first time I tried. Yeah, this is the beauty of a 125, guys. You can actually remove this plug in a matter of minutes, not even. Alrighty, that plug is looking quite right, to be honest. Woo. A little on the hot end. Yeah, looking alright. We've just got a little bit of bog in the mid-range now, which means we're going to have to start playing with some different settings, not our main jet. I think it would be a good idea just to go around one more time, just feel the bike, feel how it's going. We'll recheck that plug then. Caps on. That's that two-stroke laugh, baby.
Well, what do you guys think of the upgrades? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to know. And we aren't done with the tuning. I am going to be getting more power out of this motor. I think I can lean it out a little bit more. But first, I want to do a proper ride on it. Just make sure that everything's cool on the bike. That way, during the ride, I can actually pull the plug out if it's not muddy. If it's muddy, then we'll have to rinse things off. But I'll be able to pull the plug, give it a bit of a better reading, and then carry on tuning. So if you guys want to see more awesome content on my classic KDX over here, definitely consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video.